Strangers and villains! They dare strike at me!
Grace.
I am the king!
Yes.
Oh, come on. What did that model city do to you? Howdy all, I'm Adam the Renaissance Nerd, and welcome back to my review of House of the Dragon Season 2. We are on Episode 2, and I'm going to try and be a little more pithy this week. I'm not going to go on and on stuff because, let's be honest, as a non-fan of Game of Thrones and all this stuff, I don't have much to say about the lore or anything like that. I'm really going to try and dig down and focus on just the aspects of the episode and certain points which I think are working and certain points which I think are not. And I gotta say, this episode started strong, went real flaccid in the middle, and ended strong. The show has a pacing problem, and I understand that these character relationships are all important, and they're done really well, but sometimes it's too much setup. There is just way too much setup going on here, and let's get to the events that matter. Let's start the war. I know that we have to have these things going. I know it's part of, I guess, what happened in the lore in the book and this and that, but can we just move it along? We don't need middle scenes of people going, I am feeling bad about this. Oh, I'm kind of sorry I did that. Oh, we're really poor. Oh, we're really rich. Oh, I'm glad I met back you again. Whatever, you know what I mean? There's a little bit too much of that in the middle of the show, as opposed to in the beginning, where there's some really great character interactions and important story stuff, and then at the end, really great payoff from earlier setup, but it's still just, for me, moving a little slow. And as somebody who is not a hardcore Game of Thrones guy, a hardcore Germ supporter, I am wanting. I feel myself wanting. Especially because I still don't like any of these characters. I don't like anybody. And it's still more good old-fashioned Germ. Good people get corrupted by bad people, and good people are forced to do bad things. And oh look, the good people end up dying. It's a boring trope by Germ. It really is, and frankly, it bores me. I'm somebody who you need to be enticed to want to keep watching this. And as of right now, I'm watching this out of obligation because people want me to give my take on it, not because I'm really super enjoying this. But I'll get into it. Let's get started. Episode 2. I don't honestly know the title. Right, so we're going to pick up exactly where we left off post the events of Blood and Cheese, which last week, I admit, I didn't know that that's what this whole event was called because I'm not a lore guy. I don't know this terminology, but I did learn about it post, so here we go. Blood and Cheese has happened, and the capital, King's Landing, it is in complete chaos. They're locking everything down. Aegon's throwing an understanding tantrum. His son has been murdered, decapitated. See, I didn't know I just heard the slaughtering sounds. I didn't know the kid was decapitated. So kid's been decapitated, and now they want to hunt down the culprits, and he wants full-on war. He's entitled to his rage. I'm not going to deny that. Aegon is entitled to his rage, but his inability to think as a smart leader will screw him over in this episode, as we'll get to that. We go through everybody's reaction. You know, everybody's crying, upset, and let's jump to the important scene here, though. The small council happens where now it's, hey, let's figure out how to deal with this. First of all, we got Otto trying to calm everybody down and deal with this in a, I don't want to say rational manner, but in a manner that can benefit their cause. And you can't expect Aegon to think clearly because he's screaming, war, war, I want war. Otto says, no, we need to wait. You're going to have your war. Give me a second. Here's my plan. Let's have a nice, big funeral procession through town where we can basically coax the flame of hatred toward Renea. Call her the murderer of your child. Now, character work, this is brilliant by Otto. This is great strategy. This is how you win hearts and minds. And let's be honest, even though Renea didn't order it, it still came from her camp. It did. It's not exactly a lie, but now they're going to fluff it up to inflame hatred and try and solidify that Aegon is the good king, Rhaenyra is the usurper, and it should be reviled. During all this, though, Foot Fetish is going to come in, and he's going to announce that they've caught the Gold Cloak, I guess Blood. They've caught him, and Aegon's ready to go and just kill him immediately, but Otto again, Otto's the smart man in the room, says, hold on. We need to get information. We need to do this. And meanwhile, during all this, nobody wants to do the funeral procession, but Otto wins the day. Says, we're going to do this. We're going to send out Alicent. We're going to send out Elena. Elena, I think her name is Elena. And we're going to play the sympathies of the grieving mother and the grieving Dowager Queen. That's what we're going to do. Now, before they go to the funeral procession, Alicent goes to see Elena. And here is one of the sub-character plots of the episode that leads to, honestly, a lot of stupid shit that goes down. I don't mean stupid as this is dumb storytelling. I mean stupid behavior by people. Alicent goes to see Elena, and you think she's going to comfort her. And she tries to. But in the middle of it, Alicent selfishly tries to find out if Elena was paying attention to the fact that Alicent was riding Cole all the way to sunset when she walked into the chambers. That's just, wow. Talk about bitch. Talk about cold-hearted bitch who, while shocked and obviously grieving over these events, still has a moment to try and say, hey, I gotta worry that anybody knows I'm effing Cole. That's not a good look. It's not a good look, but it's a brilliant breakdown of Alicent as she's not as good as everybody, as she wants everybody to think she is. And it's a great descent from season 1 where she was simply forced to do these things, locked into the role that she was pushed into by everybody else. And now, on her own, she continues to do bad things. I would say there's no saving grace to Alicent anymore. If there was even a little bit, I know I showed a little bit of sympathy for her in my recaps and the review last week, but this time I gotta say, Alicent, your behavior here is not good because she's going to continue to try and make this more about her in moments when it should be about others. She always seems to want to make it come back to her. And she's addicted to her bad behavior, as we'll see at the end of the episode. All right, so we go through the funeral procession. And I gotta say this, the scoring for this episode in the first part, brilliant. The haunting, lamenting, sorrowful violin solo in the beginning, really great. Hits you right here. The drum procession for the funeral with the dude who's calling out at Rhaenyra's the murderer, this and that. It all comes together quite nicely. The beating of the drum when the cart gets caught on a stone and they keep pushing it, and you see the boy's body jostling there. I thought it was going to fall off and Elena was going to lose it. She almost loses it, but Alicent does kind of keep her nice and reined in. And during the whole thing, they've captured Blood. He immediately gives up he gives up Cheese, but not specifically who Cheese is, just he's a rat catcher. And then Aegon comes in and beats him to death with a mace. Good. No problem with that at all. Vengeance of a father. It works. I approve. Meanwhile, back at Dragonstone, Rhaenyra is having her meeting about why the hell did this happen? Why did this happen? I didn't order this. We need to make sure that everybody knows I had nothing to do in this. Problem is, she's giving this speech, and this is beautiful by Matt Smith. Rhaenyra looks over at Damon, and he's just da-da-da-da-da, and then his eyes just kind of drift to her, and the look on his face there, that is Matt Smith. Just beautiful expression. I love it. Eventually, the conversation, Rhaenyra realizes that Damon was involved, and we jump to a scene where they have a pretty great, in-depth, heartfelt conversation about trust and loyalty. And the bottom line is this. Throughout the whole thing, Rhaenyra point blank says, "Do you accept me as your queen?" And during his response, Damon never says yes. He never says you're my queen. He launches into this whole thing. My brother was weak. He chose you to spite me. And it really is showing Damon doesn't really give a shit about anybody but Damon. Doesn't care. He uses people to serve his needs. And right now, and Renea actually calls him out on it properly. He used her to grasp at what was left of his desire for the throne. And he admits this. Listen, I didn't tell him to kill the kid. And he didn't. He didn't say kill the kid. He said go after Aemond, like she ordered, go after Aemond. He didn't kill the kid, but he still is trying to deny that he's responsible. And he is responsible. He put the ball in motion. Plain and simple. They have this, so the fight rages on, and it's an excellent dichotomy because at one point she seems to have all the power in the room, but as soon as he's had enough of her lecturing, he just lurches up violently, throwing a goblet aside, and storms over to her, and she backs off. And you got to realize this is also a great representation of he is barely held in check. Damon is as much a danger to her as to their enemies because she really can't control him. And she knows he could destroy her in an instant if he really wanted to. At least that's the way I perceive it. And it's a great back and forth between Matt Smith and Emma Darcy. They really do play well together in the scene and on this screen. It comes off as a great dynamic of somebody who Renea really wants to trust and love this man, but knows that he is a scorpion that will sting her because guess what? It's in his nature. He will destroy everything, even at his own expense. Even if it hurts him in the end, that's Damon's personality. And it's brilliantly played off by both of them. So Damon then F's off. He gets on his dragon, full armor, F's off because he's going to go rally the troops because that's what he says. It's my job. I got to raise you an army. During this, we get... Now here's where the episode kind of falls flat except for one important scene. We're going to go through a series of people reacting to the reacting of the reacting of the situation in hand, the assassination and everybody's behavior. Alicent is feeling guilty about effing Cole. Cole is feeling guilty about effing Alicent, and everybody is trying to figure out whose fault is it. They're trying to cast blame on the murder of the kid. And Cole, who feels guilty about effing Alicent, now hatches a plan to use one of the twin brothers. We got Eric, the guy who's over at Dragonstone, and the twin who's here in King's Landing. He's going to after he dresses down twin brother at King's Landing for whatever. He's just using him as a scapegoat and venting for his anger. He basically says, you need to regain your honor for letting the son die when... If anybody's at fault, it is kind of Cole's fault because he's busy effing off. Literally effing off while the kid was dead. There was nobody on guard duty on that room. There should be a White Cloak on guard duty in the heir's bedroom, but he wasn't there. And nobody else was. So he's trying to pass the buck blame. He says to a twin brother, only way you can get your honor back is to now go and pretend to be your brother and murder Renea. That's your thing. You have to assassinate Renea. And they have this whole back and forth, and he eventually browbeats him to do it. And now this is the strong part of the middle, where now it sets up the events at the end of the episode. And it sets up the careless nature of people who should not be in charge, who come up with hasty plans, who sacrifice excellent, loyal people for nothing. For nothing. Because it's going to come out. It's a great example of good people. The brothers are good. They've chosen their sides, but they're still good men. Good, loyal men, but they're wasted by people who are terrible. Now, here comes a bunch of scenes which, while clearly important probably as the plot goes forward, it's as though we're wasting time in the middle of the episode just to stretch things out. You got Strong Boy number 1 and Damon's daughter. They have a talk about fathers. Yippity-doo. Really boring, kind of pointless, whatever. Not pointless, but it's just drawn out, and it feels like you're stretching the episode. To me, it feels like stretching the episode, and I'm getting really bored at this point. Then we get a shot of Aemond at the whorehouse, who's lamenting that he killed Strong Boy 2 because he got angry, but also realizing, hey, Damon wants to kill me. This is cool. I'm feared. And the whore says... poignantly, well, remember, when princes get angry, the small folks suffer. It's an important little exchange, but still, we're stretching for time, and I really don't need to see Aemond curled up in a woman's lap naked. Sorry. I want to see him be a badass, not curled up naked in a woman's lap. I just don't. No, he needs comfort. No, he needs to be out kicking ass and taking names. That's what I want to see. And we also now, I don't understand the point of this. I really don't understand the point of this scene, except, again, to draw things out and maybe get a taste of the atmosphere where the blacksmith who petitioned Aegon for money, for advances on work in the court scene in the first episode, we get a shot of his family, that their daughter, his diverse family, by the way, diverse family. She's sick. His daughter's sick. His wife has had to spend too much money on chicken. Gee, welcome to reality as I know it. Spend too much money on chicken. And we have to see that they're poor and the people are hurting. Okay, great. It's just, we're wasting time. We're wasting time. Now, here's the important scene right here. Now, at the end of this, we get to an important moment, because now that's the whole middle of the episode. A lot of wah. We get to the important part here where we find that there is a bunch of people who have been hung in the middle of town square, and people are lamenting, crying, this and that, and we discover they're all the rat catchers. Aegon didn't just kill the rat catcher Cheese, he just killed them all. And this is the beautiful setup that I pretty much kind of predicted, not that this would happen, but that Aegon was going to get off the leash. He was going to get off the leash and start acting on his own and forming his own inner circle and rejecting the one that was fostered by his father. So what happens is we're now in what used to be Viserys' office where the model was. It's been destroyed. What did that model do to you, dude? What did that model do to you? That was a beautiful diorama. It really was. In comes Otto, basically chastises Aegon. What the hell did you do? We worked so hard, so very, very hard to get the hearts and minds of people on our side with the death of your son. We had them. We had them. The lords of the kingdom, the great houses, they're falling in line. But then what do? You go on an execution spree. You killed one man and a dozen innocents to get the one man. And now you've just lost the hearts and mind of people. And Aegon says, oh, you're going to talk back to me? F you, you're not Hand anymore. Now, Otto's right. Let's not beat around the bush. Otto is right, and now Aegon is wrong. Aegon should listen to people with experience, but Aegon only wants people who are going to do what he wants, and also who are going to basically act as foolishly as he does, I think. Because now he says, you're not Hand, Cole is Hand. I don't need a hand, I need a steel fist is what I need. Someone who's going to act in my best interest, and you're an old man who followed my father who was weak and a fool. And Otto goes on a nice little speech of Viserys wasn't a fool. He was wise, he was thoughtful, and we miss that now. I think that's Otto realizing that all his manipulations of Viserys, he kind of feels bad about it, because Viserys, while a weak king, was a kind king. And there was peace in the realm. And now, thanks to Aegon, there will not be peace. And the realm will there's a chance the realm's going to turn on them, because they're going to see that even though he has the justification of an outraged father at the assassination of his son, kill the man that was responsible, kill the men, you don't have people catching strays, so to speak. You shouldn't have innocents dying for your rage. And Otto says, you're fools, and you're going to pay for it. You have no idea what you've done. And he leaves. He says, okay, I'm done. I'm out of here. During all of this, Rhaenyra is trying to pick up the pieces on her own end. She brings up the White Worm, and they have a really long and drawn-out speech, and this could have been done faster, and I know it's part of the setup for what's about to come, but essentially, it's a lot of wah, women in their place in the world, wah, blah, 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 fighting against greater power, patriarchy, blah, blah, blah. At least that's how it came off to me, when all we needed to know is that the White Worm expected compensation for helping Damon get into King's Landing, and she wants Rhaenyra to honor it, but Rhaenyra can't trust her. It eventually ends in Rhaenyra saying, okay, fine, guess what? I'm going to come through on my end of this. I'm going to let you go. And I'm going to send you off. It's all to set up so that the white worm can spot twin brother from King's Landing marching up when she knows she just saw Eric, the other one, at Dragonstone 2 minutes ago inside the keep. So here we come to the finale, which we now end strong, because now, even though it's a good, strong ending, they still stretched it out a little bit too much, where twin brother from King's Landing sneaks in to Dragonstone. White Worm spotted him, has off-camera alerted everybody else to his arrival, and we end up with a confrontation in Rhaenyra's bedroom where he's about to kill her, but then his brother comes in, and we get a very aggressively choreographed fight. There's not really a lot of swordplay, just kind of just swinging the swords, and that's fine because I can understand these are two guys who don't want to fight each other, and when it ends up in close combat, it's more of a brother struggle where they're on top of each other. The way brothers will fight sometimes, kind of pushing back and forth in each other's faces, pushing for advantage, and they wound each other severely in a couple ways. Finally, brother who works at Dragonstone, Eric, gets advantage and runs his own brother through. And then he basically offs himself because he can't handle the fact that he killed his brother. And he allowed his brother to get even into the queen's bedchambers. Let's dissect this scene. The scene is grisly, brutal, and well done in that aspect. And this is what I was talking about earlier. This is the whole good men get destroyed by bad people by being made to do bad things. And I do not appreciate that thing that Germ does over and over again in this. I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. I'm tired of seeing good characters, good men, be turned to dastardly deeds and then die in grisly deaths. But that's the whole point. And I understand that's the point. That everything that Rhaenyra touches, everything Alicent touches, and therefore everything that Alicent's family touches, all these two sides, the greens and the blacks, everything they touch turns to shit. All of it turns to garbage because they are all rotten at the core. And that's the problem with this world that Germ has created. Everything's rotten. There is no saving it. And I don't like that that's the heart of this lesson. That no matter what they do, they will destroy everything. Good men sacrificing themselves for worthless people. I hate that. I don't like it. I don't like it. It's not entertaining to me. Well, in the aftermath of all this going on, Alicent has a sit down with her father, Otto, and Otto saying, "Yeah, I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave. I cannot take any of this going on anymore. I've lost. I've been insulted. I have no power. I'm going to go find some place where I can do some good." Alicent tries to tell him, "But don't worry, Aegon will still be malleable. We'll fix this. I'll bring you back." He's like, "No, you don't get it. These children, these boys, they're peacocks. They're all shout. They're all pomp and circumstance, but they have no substance. They're going to ruin all of this." And then after she's trying to listen, after he's trying to impart important things to her about how to deal with this stuff, Alicent then has to say, I sinned. Trying to unload her burden yet again about Cole. And he just looks at her and says, "I don't want to hear it." Because I don't know if I don't know if that's a dad saying, "I don't want to hear the horrible sexual shit you're doing," or it's the fact that, listen, it doesn't matter. You need to focus. Either way, Rhys Ifans is fantastic in this scene. Subtle, powerful, gets Otto's despair that all his plans, all his efforts to maintain peace, to create a solidified line that can rule for generations is out the window because everybody's a goddamn idiot and no one will listen to reason. And Alicent, the one person he's leaving behind, only cares about herself in the end. Because we get the final scene where now she marches off to her bedroom. First, she goes to check in on Aegon. And now, this is actually a great moment right here, where Aegon has shown nothing but rage and basically unchecked aggression in this episode when he murders all those innocent rat catchers. And now we get a lonely moment of him in front of the fire weeping. And that's great. That's a great shot right there of a man who is grieving for the loss of his son. Problem is, there was an earlier scene in the episode where he passes his sister, his wife, in the hallway, and they don't interact. These people, these horrible people, they grieve, but they don't know how to grieve healthily. There's no healthy aspect to the way they grieve. Because now here's what Allison's going to go do to grieve. She's going to go in a room. She sees Cole sitting on the bed. They approach each other. She beats him up a little bit, slaps him around, but that's just foreplay because guess what? It's time to bang yet again. So Allison really is not great as a human being. She only cares about herself. And that's episode. We're done.
I have sinned.
I do not wish to hear of it.
All right. Review done. I think I encapsulated everything I wanted to say in this. I'm just going to repeat myself what I said in the beginning. I am tired of watching a story about good men being corrupted by horrible people and sacrificing themselves. Horrible people using good men, wasting good men in their designs that in the end are tainted by their own desires. Because there's no hero in any of this, and that's my problem with a lot of germ Game of Thrones storytelling. There's no heroes, only villains, only the gray. And while the character work is great in this episode, everybody has outstanding interactions. The performances remain solid. When there's good music, it's there. The production value remains high. The too much setup has to stop. Great, strong opening to the episode where they set up good things. Lackluster middle. And then the end. I mean, I left out a couple of conversations that happened in the middle where the guy who I think is Corliss's bastard meets with his brother, and they think they're just ensuing again that he's a bastard. You got even Corlys and Rhaenyra in bed together talking about not being king or not being queen, and people have to get over shit. There's all this extra stuff in the middle that is really boring and just stretching the runtime. They could have cut 10, 15 minutes out of this episode. They could have. And it still would have worked. All to get to a really strong ending where you have two brothers who, as the line says in the show, born of one soul, divided into two bodies, they are forced to kill each other for the designs of lesser people. And by lesser, I mean people who have no integrity, no honor. These two men who had honor sacrificed themselves, and we're left with people who will continue to do horrible things in the name of their own view of honor and virtue and ruling and this and that. It's bad. They're bad. And we need to get to the Civil War. We need to get there. But this is germ storytelling, I believe. Lots and lots of setup and then just a little bit of payoff and a little bit of action and then more and more setup. Well, there you go, guys. I'll be back next week. I mean, I don't hate this. No, I'm just giving you an objective view on this stuff. I don't root for either side in this fictional conflict. I'm not a fan of Germ. I'm not a fan of Game of Thrones. So I can be objective about this. This show needs to move along faster. It really does. But we'll be back next week. We'll see if we'll finally get the Civil War started. I hope so. I want to see dragons fight. I want to see actual characters doing things instead of just talking about doing things. I really do. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys next week. Until then, take it easy. Have a good night or day wherever you may be. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Check out my gaming channel at Renaissance Nerd Arcade, and follow me on X Twitter under @TheRedNerd. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy.